Welcome back. You have said that government should accede to the request to swap the girls for the insurgents in government custody. Wouldn't that encourage more kidnappings?
First of all, there have been kidnappings in Nigeria in the last 8, 9, 10 years. Now, what happened in Chibok is not different from other abductions and kidnapping that is happening in other parts of the world. But the difference is the sheer number of girls that were abducted at an instant. Now, if you look at what happened in other parts of the world, the state of Israel some few years ago swapped over 200 Palestinians with simply one of their soldiers that was abducted by the Hamas group. Gilad Shalit, I think this is what they call him. And recently, the Americans released some terrorists which they claim to have kept in Guantanamo Bay for one of their soldiers that was being taken into captivity for over 5 years. And why this is that the life of those soldiers is more important than keeping those terrorists in detention. To me, we have two problems at hand. First is the abductions that happen, and second is the insurgency that is going on. You cannot address the insurgency without, first of all, getting these girls out of the highway. And the best way to go about it is to swap. If you use force, there is every likelihood that these girls will be harmed.
How much do you reckon Nigeria's Western allies, like the UK, US, and France, can help to solve this problem?
When the countries of United States, UK, and France offered to help, they thought within Nigerians that it's going to be like an Iraqi or Malian situation, whereby jets will fly into Nigeria, raid camps, and free these girls. But if you go into details of the kind of assistance they are providing, they said they are sending two kinds of military assistance. One is intelligence experts and experts in hostage negotiation. Now, they also provide equipment to scan those areas where they have these girls were kept. So you can see the limitation of their assistance. And it's a clear indication that the buck still is on the table of the president, and the problem is still our own to solve. And nobody, American boots or British or French boots, is not going to be in Borno State to go about looking for these girls here.
Talking about boats, your organization, the Human Rights Commission, last year accused the military of arbitrary killings, torture, rape, and so forth in its campaign. Some people want to ask, on whose side are you?
To me, the reports we do receive and complaints from people in the Northeast is simply overwhelming. Every day in my own human rights office, we get calls not less than 20 to 30 from different families. It's either their children were arrested, or their homes were raided, or they were collectively punished because in their neighbors there was somebody who was accused of being a member.
We're in a state of emergency.
A member of Boko Haram. Now, because we are in a state of emergency, it's not an excuse for you to punish innocent persons. The report made by the National Human Rights Commission and the Amnesty International is factual. There is a policy of consistent and collective punishment meted out against innocent persons in the pursuit of the war against terror. And it's not peculiar to Nigeria, because the insurgents are not a regular army defending a territory. They strike like gorillas and disappear into the populace. And they operate in this way, and it is very difficult for our own security forces to detect who is an insurgent and who is not.
So once we know that, can't we cut them some slack?
In a democratic society, it is not an excuse to surrender or to breach the fundamental rights of citizens because you are in pursuit of a terrorist. You cannot kill 10 people because you want to get at one terrorist and say you are doing a clean job. If there is enough intelligence, it will limit the casualties and will limit the breaches of fundamental rights that have been placed on the military.
Do you worry that you will be termed a Boko Haram apologist for asking us to extend the olive branch to this group and for things, for saying things such as what you just said?
I have nothing to gain, but simply I'm concerned that the insurgency is threatening our freedom, threatening our peace, and demonizing my own part of the country. And if, as an activist, what we shall simply do is to simply issue a press statement and simply go back to my house and sleep. But I go beyond that level. And I don't think that if I'm going to Maiduguri to reach out to the insurgent, I cannot seek the advice of my family to do that, because nobody is going to say, please go, because you are not going to Abuja to get contract. You are going to meet a group of insurgents.
But you turned down the request from government to serve on the Presidential Committee on Dialogue and Peaceful Resolution of Insurgency in the North. Wasn't that an opportunity to make a difference?
It was not an opportunity. People say that I was proposing dialogue because I wanted the government to call me. And then the government called me and I said, I'm not interested. And I'm not interested. What I said, when I turned down that appointment, is for obvious reasons. The first is that it took us months to make contacts and reach at convincing the former president to go to Maiduguri in 2011. After all these sufferings, all that we have suggested to government was thrown away. Secondly, Dr. Zeti Ahmed, an old man who is the president of Supreme Council of Sharia, left Kano, was always in Abuja here, trying to mediate between the two. For all that happened to him was that he was insulted, and people think he is seeking for glory or for personal whatever. So to me, what we did in the first and second attempt, which was thrown away by the government, then you simply called me to serve in a 26-member panel with a minister who is the chairman of that panel, which I know clearly that the group will oppose it. Because when they appointed me, what I did was to seek for information from those who are close to the group. And will you act? There is an amnesty from the president, and there is also a committee that is set up. Are you going to cooperate with this committee? Will you accept this amnesty so that I will join and see to it that it works? The response I received was that they were not interested in amnesty, and they are not going to dialogue because all the previous ones that was done was simply thrown away.
So you just give up on it?
No, we have a problem there in the constitution of the committee and the way we go about it. Our proposal in the beginning was that there is going to be a dialogue committee, but we will ask the insurgents to nominate at least 3 people into that kind of committee. And then the government will also bring those that it wants to serve in that committee. Now, there will be a synergy, and then there will be no in-between. Whatever is decided there will be directly transmitted to them, and then we will reach at a solution. I can tell you that I will have preferred, perhaps, to sit down and pray that this problem comes to an end, or to hope that it will come to an end, or to wish that it will fizzle away. But I simply went ahead to move a step closer to reaching out and proposing ideas. And from my Facebook page, Twitter, I do receive a lot of insult and sometimes commendation. The insult have to do with the fact that, why should you say we should dialogue? Why don't you say? Then I don't have aircrafts, and I don't have bombs, and I don't have any missile to shoot at Boko Haram. All I have is an idea. And as a citizen, I table that idea.
Talking about ideas, What is the way out of this quagmire?
The way out of this quagmire to me is, if there are two ways. You can use force to defeat an insurgency. It has happened in Algeria, where the Armed Islamic Front was defeated by the Algerian army after about 10 years of violence. It has also happened in Sri Lanka, where the Tamil Tigers were defeated by the government, even though it came with prices on human rights violations. So we can achieve that with the use of force. And we also know that there are conflict zones across the world where the use of dialogue and negotiation has ended the problem. So the roadmap to this is, first of all, getting mediators who will negotiate, mediators that are accepted by the government and are recognized by the insurgents. Because when you set up a dialogue committee, you have a chairman and 26-member panel, it is a government committee. No input from the side of the insurgents, and that's why it will fail. So a committee of Islamic clerics from the north, joined together with some insurgents leaders who are in detention, put together, empower them, enable them to move ahead and reach out. A lot of things will be achieved.
Briefly, before we go, you're a member of Nigeria, of NATI. Why is it so difficult to determine the output in the extractive sectors? Why has it remained difficult, despite all the odds?
The board I served has ceased to be there. It's a new board there now. But I think what we try to do in NATI is simply to bring transparency to the oil industry. If you look at the 90 to 95% of corruption in Nigeria, it's either monies that are directly made from oil or the ones that were allocated to other sectors of the economy, which are still monies from oil. So if we achieve sanity and transparency in the way oil business is being run, it will be also transmitted to other places.
What has made it so difficult to achieve transparency? That was my question, really.
Well, we have a succession of government that are acting in concert with corrupt people. Nigerian political elite are not just parasitic, but they are also patently corrupt. The motivation for political office has always been that of acquisition. And that has always been the spirit and the guiding principle for people being in government. You want to be in power and you want to amass wealth. And when you have that as principle, as an order, there is nothing. The whole governance will turn into a crime scene and the whole nation becomes a gangland. And you see a succession of thieves. Government changes, but the culture of corruption continues to persist in the affairs of the state.
Well, you are now throwing your hat in the ring. What took you so long?
It has not took me so long. I came out of prison in 1998 when we were freed, when Abu Salam took over after 4 years in prison. And in the beginning, those of us from the civil rights community refused to participate in the 1999 transition because we thought that it wasn't going to last. It was a big mistake for us. Our orientation is that of fighting the military, and the military have been failing, and then we never thought that this is going to last. So by the time we realized it, it's almost too late, and that's why Chief Gani for me had to contest in 2003. And then from there, the gate was open for some of us to try. But already, the political class have entrenched themselves with power, with wealth, and they are so unremovable in court. So for now, I'm giving it a trial in the Senate under APC, and I believe I will win. And I will take my experience to the floor of the Senate on how to resolve conflicts and also how to confront any order that is undermining our stability, unity, and democracy.
Comrade Sheu Sani, you have our best wishes, and we thank you for sitting in today.
Thank you very much.
And we thank you for watching. Please join us next time when View from the Top returns. But between now and then, let's continue this conversation online at channelstv.com. And please follow me on Twitter at modelesy so you know who my next guest is, and so you can send in questions for the Public Probe segment. We thank you again for watching, and we wish you a beautiful day.